Let's now talk about this. Retired Colonel Rich Outzen is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and the Jamestown Foundation. Colonel Outzen, good to see you. I want your thoughts on Iranian Foreign Minister's outreach diplomacy program in Europe, Turkey and Russia.
Excellent. Good to be with you, Eric. I think that the options for Tehran are few at this point. It can absorb additional punishment. Ultimately, these blows against the nuclear program, but also increasingly infrastructure and leadership targets, is going to put a lot of pressure on the Iranian economy, on the public morale. I think it's the rational thing for them to reach out and to negotiate. In fact, I think this is part of President Trump's plan, and I do think that President Trump has been in close coordination with the Israelis on this. The goal is to some extent to physically destroy the Iranian nuclear program, but I think even more so to bring the Iranians to the table. There was, as you know, a 60-day negotiation window while President Trump was trying to get a peaceful deal that would lead to the end of nuclear weapons research and enrichment to nuclear weapons levels by Tehran, and they chose not to do that the next day that this war started. So I'm very glad to see the Iranians going to Europe and starting to try to talk to this. I don't think yet they understand that that's not a way to avoid the ultimate concession that they have to give, but it's a step in the right direction.
Colonel Outzen, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has told Iran's foreign minister resuming Iranian-US talks on Tehran's nuclear program is the only way to achieve a solution to the current fighting. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's an interesting position. It is helpful, and I think that those voices who tell Tehran resist and hold out are not doing the Iranian people any favors. Now, President Erdogan, of course, has a good working relationship with President Trump. In Washington, Erdogan's comments have not always been received well with regards to this current war because, of course, he has some particularly sharp criticism for Israel, and in Washington, we're very close to the Israeli view of the Iranian nuclear program. But at the end of the day, Ankara doesn't want this neighbor to have nuclear weapons either. It'd be a blackmail situation for them as well. So while I think on style points, Erdogan's not getting high marks in Washington, I think at the same time it is a constructive step for him to call on Tehran to negotiate.
Colonel Outzen, the US President Trump alternated between militaristic threats and also private concerns about dragging the United States into a prolonged war. Does Trump's 2-week delay on Iran's strike decision leave Israel in limbo?
Well, it's an interesting question, right? Because I think, in a sense, President Trump has managed to put both the Iranians and the Israelis on edge with this 2-week waiting. Now, if you look at coercive diplomacy theory, the idea that you put some uncertainty into the mind of your target, and Iran is the target here, is undeniable. So there's a threat, there's a demand, there's an escalatory period, and then you give them an off-ramp. But the uncertainty during that waiting period actually sometimes moves the target towards concession. That's all good. What's less usual is to also have your friend, in this case Israel, a little uncertain. There are those who think that Benjamin Netanyahu put President Trump in a difficult situation by launching this war without Trump's explicit backing. So it may be that he wants them to sit and wait a little while, putting a little pressure on Netanyahu to compromise as well. We'll see, depending on how the negotiations come out once the U.S. Gets fully involved in negotiations, and that is if Iran chooses to recommit to negotiations.
All right. Retired Colonel Rich Outzen, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
You too, Eric.